औज़ुबिल्लाहिमिनश्शैतानिर्रजीम बिस्मिल्लाहिर्रहमानिर्रहीम अल्लाहुम्मा सल्लि अला मुहम्मदिन व अला आलि मुहम्मद कमा सल्लैता अला इब्राहीम व अला आलि इब्राहीम इन्नका हमीदुम मजीद अल्लाहुम्मा बारिक अला मुहम्मदिन व अला आलि मुहम्मद कमा बारकता अला इब्राहीम व अला आलि इब्राहीम इन्नका हमीदुम मजीद रब्बि इश्रह ली सदरी व यस्सिर ली अमरी वहलुल उक़्दतम मिन लिसानी यफ़क़हू क़ौली रब्बना ज़िदना इल्मा या मुक़ल्लिबुल क़ुलूब सब्बित क़ल्बी अला दीनिक आमीन. Today we'll do Surah Talaq. This is a Madani Surah having 12 verses in it. In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Most Merciful. Ya ayyuhan nabiyyu iza talaqtumun nisaa fatalliquhunna liiddatihinna wa ahsul iddata wattaqullaha rabbakum la tukhrijuhunna min buyutihinna wala yakhrujna illa an ya'tina bifahishatin mubayyinah wa tilka hududullah wa man yata'adda hududallahi faqad zalama nafsah la tadri la'alla allaha yuhdisu ba'da dhalika amra. O Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam, when you wish to divorce your wives, then divorce them before their waiting period and count the waiting period. Fear Allah, your Rabb. Do not turn them out of their homes, and neither should they leave by themselves unless they perpetrate flagrant indecency. These are the limits set by Allah. Whoever transgresses Allah's limits has certainly oppressed his soul. You do not know whether Allah may later bring something new to pass. Verse number 2. فَإِذَا بَلَغْنَ أَجَلَهُنَّ فَأَمْسِكُهُنَّ بِمَعْرُوفٍ أَوْ فَارِقُهُنَّ بِمَعْرُوفٍ وَأَشْهِدُوا ذَوِي عَدْلٍ مِنْكُمْ وَأَقِيمُوا الشَّهَادَةَ لِلَّهِ ذَلِكُمْ يُوعَظُ بِهِ مَن كَانَ يُؤْمِنُ بِاللَّهِ وَالْيَوْمِ الْآخِرِ وَمَن يَتَّقِ اللَّهَ يَجْعَل لَّهُ مَخْرَجًا. So when they have reached close to completing their waiting periods, then either keep them in good faith or separate from them in good faith. Make two reliable persons witness and establish the testimony for Allah. It is with this that the one who believes in Allah and the last day is advised. Allah shall create an escape for the one who fears Him, that is, the one who has taqwa. Verse number 3. وَيَرْزُقْهُ مِنْ حَيْثُ لَا يَحْتَسِبُ وَمَنْ يَتَوَكَّلْ عَلَى اللَّهِ فَهُوَ حَسْبُهُ إِنَّ اللَّهَ بَالِغُ أَمْرِهِ قَدْ جَعَلَ اللَّهُ لِكُلِّ شَيْءٍ قَدْرًا. And shall provide for him from sources that he never expected. Allah is sufficient for the one who trusts in Him. Allah shall certainly bring His affairs to completion, and Allah has set a measure for everything. The opening verses of Surah Talaq discusses some law of talaq, divorce, and iddat, the waiting period after divorce. Because the surah deals with the laws pertaining to women, it is also referred to as Surah Nisa al-Kasra, the short Surah Nisa. Nisa means women. Bukhari narrates that Hazrat Abdullah bin Masud Raziyallahu Ta'ala refers to the surah by this name. When a man and a woman join in nikah marriage, they really intend to establish a relationship for a lifetime. However, it does happen that they are incompatible or that they have to be separated for some other reasons. Therefore, the Sharia has instituted the law of talaq, divorce. When a husband divorces his wife, she has to observe the iddat, waiting period. She is not allowed to marry another man until her iddat has expired. There is a difference in the length of iddat for a woman who menstruate, pregnant women, and women who have passed menopause. When a woman is divorced and she still menstruates, the duration of her iddat will be 3 periods of menstruation, according to Imam Abu Hanifa rahimullah and Imam Ahmad bin Hanbal rahimullah. According to Imam Shafi rahimullah, the duration of her iddat will be 3 periods of tohur. A period of tohur is the period between two menstrual cycles when a woman does not bleed. This difference of opinion stems from the interpretation of the Arabic word kuru in verse number 2 to 8 of Surah Al-Baqarah. This word has a dual meaning and may be translated as menses as or as tohor. While some jurists have taken the first meaning, others have taken the second. Each group has its proof to sustain its stand. The details of this can be found in the detailed books of jurisprudence. Allah addresses Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam saying, O Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam, when you wish to divorce your wives, then divorce them before their waiting period. Although the initial address is to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the verse is subsequently phrased using plural pronouns. Note that this change in address is not reflected in the English translation. This indicates the instructions is directed to the entire Ummah of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. The phrase divorce them before their waiting period means that the divorce should take place at a time when the woman can commence her iddat without undue delay. The iddat will commence from the menstrual cycle that follows the divorce. This menstrual cycle and the two after it will complete the iddat. It is therefore most appropriate that the divorce is given during a period of tohor so that the iddat can commence as soon as the menstrual cycle begins. According to the instructions of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam in a hadith, a talaq should be pronounced during a period of tohor in which no intercourse has taken place. Hazrat Abdullah bin Umar radiallahu ta'ala anhu divorced his wife while she was menstruating. When his father Hazrat Umar radiallahu ta'ala anha mentioned this to Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam, became very angry and instructed Hazrat Abdullah bin Umar radiallahu ta'ala anhu to retract the divorce, to keep his wife for a period of tahor, to wait for another menstrual cycle to pass, and to issue another divorce only during the second period of tahor if he still wanted to. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam also told him that the divorce should take place during a tahor in which no intercourse has taken place. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam then said to him, "This is the iddat that Allah has commanded." Bukhari, volume 2, page number 7 to 9. This hadith make it clear that it is not permissible to divorce a woman who is experiencing her menstrual cycle. It is also clear that when divorce is given during tohor, the woman will be able to complete 3 complete period of menstruation as soon as the tohor expires. According to the Shafi school of jurisprudence, the divorce should be pronounced at the beginning of the tohor so that 3 periods of tohor can commence immediately and count the waiting period. This part of the verse instructs people to carefully count the passing days of the iddat because many laws hinged on the expiry of the iddat. When a woman receives a rajai divorce, from her husband, he is entitled to take her back into his marriage before the expiry of the iddat, and he is obliged to pay her maintenance during this period. If the husband does not take her back during the iddat, she will be free to marry someone else after the expiring of the iddat. If the period of iddat is not carefully calculated, certain law may be violated. Examples of such violations are: she may marry someone else before the expiry of her iddat. She may be demanding maintenance after the expire of the iddat. The husband may decide to take her back after the expire of the iddat, thinking that the iddat has not yet expired. Further details concerning talaq and iddat have been mentioned in the commentaries of the verses 228 to 230 of Surah Al-Baqarah and verse 49 of Surah Ahzab. The number of the surah in the Quran is 33. Allah adds, "Fear Allah your Rabb." This part of the verse cautions the couple against violating Allah's commands in the matter of the iddat. No woman should falsely claim that her iddat has expired. She should also not falsify the expiry date with the intention of receiving extra maintenance. By the same token, no man should falsely claim that he had taken his wife back during the iddat. Allah says, "Do not turn them divorcee out of their homes. A divorced woman should be allowed to spend her iddat in her husband's home. She is entitled to spend her iddat there, and the onus is on the husband to provide for her. No one has the right to turn divorcees out of their houses during their period of iddat. Allah Ta'ala also makes it clear that neither should the women leave by themselves. Allah Ta'ala then cites the exception when divorcees may be turned out of their husbands' houses. This is when they perpetrate a flagrant indecency. According to the Hazrat Abdullah bin Masud Raziallah Ta'ala Anhu, flagrant indecency refers to fornication after divorce, in which case the woman shall be taken from the home to be lashed. She will then be returned to the same house. According to Hazrat Abdullah bin Abbas Raziallah Ta'ala Anhu, a woman will be guilty of flagrant indecency when she uses offensive language when addressing the husband and his family. In this case, she will not be permitted to live with them in the same house. These are the limits set by Allah. Whoever transgresses Allah's limits has certainly oppressed his soul. The person who transgresses the limits that Allah has set in subjecting himself to punishment in the Akhirah and is therefore oppressing himself. One will be guilty of oppressing oneself if one violates any of the law of talaq and or iddah. You do not know whether Allah may later bring something new to pass, that is, after the divorce, it may occur that a man regrets the divorce after a while and may decide to take his wife back. It is therefore necessary that a person observes the injunctions of the Sharia when he intends to divorce his wife. The author of Malumat-e-Tanzim writes that this part of the verse make it clear that 3 divorces should be pronounced all at once because this denies a man the right to take his wife back. If 3 divorces have to be pronounced, each should be issued in a separate tohor. A person retains the right to take back his wife within the iddat of if he issues 2 clear divorces, because the divorce will be regarded as rajai. However, if he issues a bind divorce, he will also be deprived of that right to retain her. In this case, he will first require her consent. However, when 3 divorces are issued all at once, even this option will be forfeited. One should therefore be extremely cautious in the matter. Allah says, "So when the divorcees can reach close to completing their waiting periods, then either keep them in good faith to separate from them in good faith. Whatever opinion the husband chooses, his intentions should not be to harm the woman in any way. He will be sinful if he takes her back before the expiry of the iddat with the intention of issuing another divorce so that she is forced to spend another period of iddat. This has been discussed in Surah Al-Baqarah where Allah says, when you divorce women and they reaches their term iddat, then retain them in kindness or release them in kindness. Do not retain them to hurt them and transgress the limit set by Allah, for whoever does so has really oppressed his own soul. Verse number 231. Allah states further, make two reliable person witness. It is mustahab, preferable though not compulsory. This is mustahab. To have two reliable men witness the husband's choice of either keeping his wife or separating from him. The witnesses should be pious and truthful men. Their testimony will be required should be a dispute arise about the issue and establish the testimony of for Allah. This part of the verse enjoins that the testimony should be given properly and to please Allah so that the wronged person may receive his dues. The verse also means that the witness should not request payment for rendering their testimony because it is not permissible to do so. Of course, they may be reimbursed for the costs they incur in traveling to the court. The details concerning testimony have been discussed in the commentary of verses 282 and 283 of Surah Al-Baqarah. The number of the surah in the Quran is 2. It is with this that the one who believes in Allah and the last day is advised. All the injunctions mentioned in the foregoing verses are replete with guidance and can bring only good to the person who practices them. The one who is convinced about the coming of the day of Qiyamah knows that he has to adhere to these teachings because he will have to stand for Allah Ta'ala and counts for his deeds. Allah continues, Allah shall create an escape for the one who fears him, that is, the one who has taqwa, and shall provide for him from sources that he never expected. Taqwa basically entails carrying out Allah's command and abstaining from everything that He has forbidden. Adopting taqwa in the law of talaq and iddat as well as in all other aspects of life will certainly bring good to a person. Taqwa guarantees success for a mu'min in both worlds. Allah has promised two things for a person of taqwa. The first promise is that Allah shall create an escape for him from every difficulty. Man is plagued by various adversities and difficulties in this world. Those who attempt to ward off their problems by employing sinful means only find themselves sinking even deeper into the problem. Allah advises man that the solution to all his problems lies in adopting taqwa. A person also approached Hazrat Ibn Abbas radiallahu ta'ala anhu. I have pronounced 3 divorces. Is there any way in which I can have my wife back? Hazrat Ibn Abbas radiallahu ta'ala anhu replied, you people do foolish things. And then say, O Ibn Abbas, Allah Ta'ala says Allah shall create an escape for the one who fears him. That is, the one who has taqwa. You have not displayed any taqwa. I cannot find any escape for you from this problem. Your wife has been separated from you because you disobeyed Allah. Narrated by Abu Dawud, page number 299. The second promise that Allah makes to the person who adopts taqwa is that Allah shall provide for him from sources that he never expected. Both these promises shall be realized in this world as well as in the Akhirah. Hazrat Abu Dawud Hazrat Darda Raziallahu Ta'ala anhu narrates that Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam said, I know of a verse that is sufficient for people if the practice it. The verse is, Allah shall create an escape for the one who fears Him, that is, the one who has taqwa, and shall provide for him from sources that he never expected. Narrated by Mishkat, page number 453. Allah is sufficient for the one who trusts in Him, whereas Allah makes the foregoing promises of availing His unseen help to those who adopt taqwa. He also makes a promise to those who adopt tawakkul, that is, those who trust in Him. Allah tells them that He shall suffice for them against all odds. Taqwa and tawakkul are the wheels on a moment's vehicle and are indispensable to him. Hazrat Amir bin al-As narrates that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, man's heart remains somewhat occupied in one valley or another. Allah has no concern for the person who places all of his heart in these occupations, and he will destroy himself in one of these valleys. However, Allah will see to all of these occupations for the person who has tawakkul, trust in Him. Narrated by Mishkat, page 453. Hazrat Umar ta'ala anhu reports that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, if you trust in Allah as he deserves to be trusted, He will provide for you just as He provides for the birds. They leave in the morning with empty bellies and return in the evening with their bellies full. Narrated by Mishkat, page number 452 from Tirmizi. There are various levels of tawakkul. Forsaking mean of one of these levels, and it is this approach that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam adopted. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam once said, I have not received revelation instructing me to amass wealth and to be a trader. Instead, revelation has instructed me to glorify the praises of your Rabb and be of the one who prostrate and worship your Rabb until the certainly death comes to you. Narrated by Mishkat, page number 444. A person who adopts the necessary means to acquire things but who does not exclusively pin his reliance to these means is also regarded as one who adopts tawakkul. Although such a person uses the mean at his disposal, he still trusts in Allah. When one realizes that Allah is the provider regardless of the means, one will be able to abstain from sinful meaning of earning one's living. Allah shall certainly bring His affairs to completion, where whatever Allah decides to do shall certainly come to pass, and He is at liberty to decree whatever injunctions He deems appropriate. None can stop Him. Allah has set a measure for everything. It is in accordance with this set measure that Allah decrees conditions and injunctions. Now I will recite from verse number 4 till verse number 7. واللائي يئسن من المهيز من نسائكم إن ارتبتم فعدتهن ثلاثة أشهر واللائي لم يحزن وأولاة الأحمال أجلهن أن يضعن حملهن ومن يتق الله يجعل له من أمره يسرا. If you are in doubt concerning those women who have lost hope of menstruating, then their waiting period and the waiting period of those women who do not menstruate shall be 3 months. The period of pregnant women shall be when they deliver. Allah shall create ease in the affair of one who fears Him, that is, the one who has taqwa. ذلك أمر الله أنزله عليكم ومن يتق الله يكفر عنه سيئاته ويؤذم له أجرا. This is Allah's command that He has revealed to you. For the one who fears Allah, Allah shall expiate his sins and grant him as immense reward. أسكنوهن من حيث سكنتم من وجدكم ولا تزاروهن لتزيقوا عليهن وإن كن أولات حمل فأنفقوا عليهن حتى يضعن حملهن فإن أرضعن لكم فآتوهن أجورهن وَأْتَمِرُوا بَيْنَكُمْ بِمَعْرُوفٍ وَإِنْ تَعَاسَرْتُمْ فَسَتُرْضِعُ لَهُ أُخْرَى. Verse number 6. According to your means, house them, the divorcees, where you house yourself, and do not harm them, with intent to pressurize them. If they are expecting, then provide for them until they deliver. If they suckle for you, then pay them their dues and consult with each other in a better benefiting manner. If each one makes matters difficult for the other, then another woman may suckle the child. لينفق ذو سعة من سعته وما قدر عليه رزقه فلينفق مما آتاه الله لا يكلف الله نفسا إلا ما آتاها سيجعل الله بعد أسر يسرا. The wealthy person should spend according to his ability. As for the one whose means are restricted, he should spend from what Allah has given him. Allah does not burden a soul with more than He has given it. Allah shall soon create ease after difficulty. Allah stipulates an iddat of 3 months for the woman who has passed menopause and for the woman who has not yet begun menstruating. The iddat of the pregnant woman will terminate as soon as she delivers the child, and when she aborts a child whose limbs have already formed. According to Imam Abu Hanifa rahimullah, this shall be the iddat of a pregnant woman if she is divorced and even if her husband passes away, whereas the iddat of another widow is 4 months and 10 days. The iddat of a pregnant woman will expire as soon as she delivers, even though the child is born a few minutes after her husband's death. In a like manner, the iddat of a pregnant divorcee will also expire as soon as she delivers and not after 3 menstrual cycles. Important note is this: if a woman is divorced before husband and wife could share any time in privacy, she will not have to observe the iddat. Another important note is if a man stopped menstruating without her having reached menopause, her iddat will not expire after 3 months. She will have to wait until 3 menses pass or until she undergoes menopause. Allah states further, Allah shall create ease in the affair of the one who fears Him, that is, the one who has taqwa. Allah shall make matters easy for this person in this world as well as in the akhirah. This is Allah's command that He has revealed to you. For the one who fears Allah, Allah shall expiate his sins and grant him an immense reward. The virtues of adopting taqwa has been mentioned thrice in this surah. These are: number 1, Allah shall create an escape for the one who fears Him, that is, the one who has taqwa, and shall provide for him from sources that he never expected. Number 2, Allah shall create ease in the fear of the one who fears Him, that is, the one who has taqwa. And number 3, for the one who fears Allah, that is the one who adopts taqwa, Allah shall expiate him his sins and grant him an immense reward. Okay, these verses clearly express the great virtue of adopting taqwa because it guarantees Allah's promises which never fail to pass. When a person adopts taqwa, he will see the manifestation of Allah's promises because Muslims have generally forsaken taqwa and tawakkul and have immersed themselves in sin and running after the things of this world. They find themselves deprived of Allah's unseen assistance. There are 5 categories of women who are required to observe a period of iddat. These are: number 1, divorcee who are given rajai divorce and who are not expecting. Number 2, divorcee who are given Bayaan or Mughalza divorces and who are not expecting. Number 3, divorcee who are expecting. Number 4, divorcee who have exercised the option of khula. And number 5, widows. Each of the above women have a right to the following: number 1, food and drink; 2, housing; 3, clothing. The husband who issues the divorce is obliged to provide manifestation for the divorcee wife during her iddat. This will apply in all situations of divorce, rajai, bain, and mughalza, irrespective of whether the wife is expecting or not. In addition to this, he will have to provide living quarters for her during this period. If he houses her in his own home, he will not be able to have any contact with her, not even to see her. If the talaq is bain or mughalza, khula is regarded as a bain divorce, and a woman divorced as a result of khula will also have to observe iddat. When a woman becomes widowed, her maintenance will not be paid for from the husband's estate. She will have to use the wealth she inherits or her dowry to sustain herself if she has no other wealth or if no one is willing to support her. If she does not even have this much and is forced to work outside her home, she may leave her house to work during the day donned in the hijab that the Sharia ordains. However, she should spend every night at home during the iddat. If she gets delayed returning from work, she is allowed to return a little later in evening. A widow should spend her iddat in the house where she lived with her husband. She may spend her iddat elsewhere only if the house does not have enough means in it for her to live after dissolving the estate. The heirs force her out of the house, and the house was rented and she cannot afford to pay the rent. Her life or property is threatened if she lives there. Allah continues, according to your means, house them, the divorcee, where your house yourself, and do not harm them with intent or pressurize them into leaving the house. The husband should provide accommodation for his divorced wife, and he should not resort to any means by which she is forced to leave the house. Allah states further, if they are expecting, then provide for them until they deliver. The iddat of an expected woman expires as soon as she delivers. It is necessary for the husband to provide for her until she delivers the child, even though it may be 9 months later. Addressing the men who have divorced their wives, Allah says, if they, the divorcee, suckle for you, then pay them their dues. When a child is born, the father and mother together share the responsibility of raising the child. While the father earns for the family, the mother tends to the feeding of the children and to do domestic chores. However, once the couple have divorced, this arrangement may change. The mother will naturally still want to suckle the child and if he does so without asking, husband will be obliged to pay because it is the responsibility to provide for the child. If this matter is discussed in the above verse. In addition to this, Allah instructs and consult with each other in a befitting manner. The wife should not demand an exorbitant sum as payment for suckling the child, and once a sum has been agreed on, she should not refuse to suckle. The husband should not be uncompromising, thinking that the wife is obliged to suckle the child irrespective of how much he pays. Similarly, the wife should also not be uncompromising simply because the father is obliged to provide. Each should consider the welfare of the child and act in the child's best interest, putting their own prejudice aside. The husband is not obliged to agree to the price that his wife demands if it is exorbitant. He is at liberty to hire another woman to suckle the child in such an event. Of course, none can replace a child's mother. It is therefore best if the couple come to some agreement by which the child mother is able to suckle. Some detail concerning suckling have been discussed in the commentary of verse 233 of Surah Al-Baqarah. Important note is written here: when the divorced mother takes the child for suckling during the iddat, she will be receiving maintenance for her husband from her husband. She is therefore not entitled to ask remuneration for suckling during the iddat. Once her iddat expires and the child is still being suckled, she may then ask for remuneration for suckling if she chooses to do so. The husband will then be obliged to pay her for this in addition to the maintenance that he is required to pay for the rearing of the child. If each one makes matters difficult for the other, then another woman may suckle the child. If the mother demands too much and the father is not willing to pay, the father will have to find another woman to suckle the child. Although the verse is a command for the father to find another woman to suckle, the wording of the verse infers that Allah will see the sustenance of a child even if the mother cannot. How many motherless children has Allah Ta'ala not provided for? The wealthy person should spend according to his ability. As for the one whose means are restricted, he should spend from what Allah has given him. Allah does not burden a soul with more than He has given it. Each further each father should spend on his family according to his means. When Allah grants a person children, he also he will also provide the means to care for the child. Allah says, Allah shall soon create ease after difficulty. When a person spends in good causes, he should never fear that his wealth will diminish. The books of jurisprudence usually mention only food, drink, and accommodation as being building on the husbands during the iddat. The author of Al Bahrul Al Rahaik has quoted from several other books that if the iddat is prolonged for some reason, that is her menses are delayed and if she needs clothing, the Qazi, Muslim judge, can rule that he has to provide clothing as well. However, this is usually not mentioned because women generally do have sufficient clothing to wear during the period of her iddat. Now I will recite from verse number 8 till the verse number 11. وَكَائِن مِّن قَرْيَةٍ آتَتْ عَنْ أَمْرِ رَبِّهَا وَرُسُلِهِ فَحَاسَبْنَاهَا حِسَابًا شَدِيدًا وَعَذَّبْنَاهَا عَذَابًا نُكْرًا. Many were the towns that rebelled against the commands of their Rabb and of his messengers. So we severely took them to task and meted out an admonishing punishment to them. فذاقت وبال أمرها وكان عاقبة أمرها خسرا. Alhamdulillah. They tasted the consequences of their deeds, and the end result of their deeds was a total loss. أعد الله لهم عذابا شديدا فاتقوا الله يا أولي الألباب الذين آمنوا قد أنزل الله عليكم ذكرا. Allah prepared a severe punishment for them, so fear Allah, O intelligent one, who have believed, Allah has certainly revealed a reminder to you. Rasulan, now I'll recite verse number 11. رسولا يتلو عليكم آيات الله مبينات ليخرج الذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات من الظلمات إلى النور وما يؤمن بالله ويعمل صالحا يدخله جنات تجري من تحتها الأنهار خالدين فيها أبدا قد أحسن الله له رزقا. And Allah has also sent to you a messenger who recites Allah's clear verses to you to remove the believers who do good deeds from darkness and to bring them into light. Whoever believes in Allah and does good deeds, Allah shall enter him into gardens beneath which rivers flow. There they shall abide forever. Allah has appointed a most excellent provision for him. In the above verses, Allah tells people about the nations of the past who were destroyed because they rebelled against Allah and His Anbiyas alayhi salam. People are thereby encouraged to believe and to carry out good deeds so that they do not suffer the same fate. The people of the previous nations were destroyed by Allah's punishment, and will have to face severe reckoning in the hereafter. In addition to this, they will also have to face the punishment of Jahannam. In this world, already they had a taste of Allah's punishment, and the real punishment will face them in the Akhirah. The end result of their deeds was therefore a total loss because it brought them no good whatsoever. Allah prepared a severe punishment for them. Allah says, so fear Allah, O intelligent one who have believed, Allah has certainly sent a reminder to you, that is the Quran. In addition to this Quran, Allah has also sent a messenger who recites Allah's clear verses to you. The verses of the Quran are extremely clear and make the truth stand out from falsehood. Allah has sent the Quran and Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam to remove the believers who do good deeds from darkness and to bring them into light. Those who do not believe in the Quran and who do not follow Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam shall remain in the perpetual darkness of kufr and shirk. Eventually, they will have to suffer the darkness of Jahannam. Allah then describes the bounties that the pious mu'mineen shall receive when He says, whoever believes in Allah and does good deeds, Allah shall enter him into gardens beneath which rivers flow. There they shall abide forever. Allah has appointed a most excellent provision for him. The provision of Jannah shall last forever. The last verse of the surah, the number of the verse is 12. Allahu alladhi khalaqa sab'a samawati wa min al-ardi mislahunna يتنزل الأمر بينهن لتعلموا أن الله على كل شيء قدير وأن الله قد أحاط بكل شيء علما. It is Allah who created the seven heavens and the earth in a like a manner. He sends commands between them so that you may know that Allah has power over all things and that Allah's knowledge encompasses everything. Allah concludes the surah by stating, it is Allah who created the seven heavens and the earth in a like manner, that is, seven in number. He sends commands between them. Allah sends His commands to the seven heavens and the seven earths because His creation live in all of these realms. Allah's commands that affect the physical universe affect the lives of all His creation. That is the command for rain to fall, for a disaster to strike, etc. Allah also issues commands that form the injunctions of the Sharia. Man and jinn are obliged to carry out those commands. Majority of the ulama are of the opinion that the seven earths from seven layers are above the earth just as the seven heavens do. The fact that man is unable to witness this one not affect the reality of the matter. The moment believes that Allah tells him whatever, he can see it or not. Authentic hadiths confirm the existence of seven earths. Such hadiths are narrated by Hazrat Sayyid bin Zaid radiallahu ta'ala anhu and Hazrat Abdullah bin Umar radiallahu ta'ala anhu, Hazrat Abu Huraira radiallahu ta'ala anhu, and Hazrat Aisha radiallahu ta'ala anha in Bukhari volume 1 page 543 and Muslim volume 2 page 32 and 33. The hadith of Hazrat Abu Huraira radiallahu ta'ala anhu states that the person who even once uh, usurped the land of another, Allah shall plunge him through the seven earths until the day of Qiyamah. Hazrat Shoaib radiallahu ta'ala anhu narrates that Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam always recited the following dua whenever he entered a locality. اللهم رب السماوات السبع وما زللنا ورب الأرمين السبع وما أقللنا ورب الشياطين وما زلنا ورب الرياح وما زرينا فإن نسألك خير هذه القرية وهذا أهلها ونعوذ بك من شرها وشر أهلها وشر ما فيها. Translation: O Allah, Rabb of the seven heavens and whatever is beneath them, Rabb of the seven earths and whatever is upon them, Rabb of the shayateen and whoever they lead astray, Rabb of the winds and whatever they blow, we ask you for the good of this town and the good of the people of this town. We seek your protection from the evil of this town, from the evil of the people of this town, and from the evil within it. Allah informs man about everything in the heaven and the earth so that he may know that Allah has power over all things and that Allah's knowledge encompasses everything. Nothing is beyond His knowledge and beyond His control. وآخر دعوانا أن الحمد لله رب العالمين اللهم اغفر للمسلمين والمسلمات والمؤمنين والمؤمنات السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.